Hey, welcome back. Hope you guys had a great week. Today I'm gonna present to you guys for scary stories from Reddit. If you are new to the channel and don't want to miss any crazy creepypasta stories, hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications. Now with that out of the way, let's start with the stories. Almost died on my way to work the other day. By Menace_17. I'm currently a college student on summer break. To earn money over the summer, I've been working Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as a package handler at FedEx, working the night shift from 3 to 9 a.m. Recently, with people going on vacation and ordering less, the shifts have gotten shortened to 4:30 to 8 o'clock, but it still sucks. Anyway, this past Wednesday night I woke up at 3:30 to get ready to go to work, and the first thing I did was I went outside to my pool house to grab some water out of the fridge, like I always do. When I was out there though, I noticed it was eerily quiet. I mean, that's normal for that late at night or early in the morning depending on how you look at it, but normally I hear and see bunnies, chipmunks, toads, and other small animals moving around in the grass and bushes around me. But this time, I didn't hear or see shit. Everything around me just kind of felt still, for lack of better terms to describe the vibe. For some reason I felt uncomfortable out there this particular night, so I just grabbed a couple water bottles and went back inside as quick as I could. Right when I was about to open the back door, however, I heard a long, blood-curdling scream from the street to my right. It sounded like a scream of pain mixed with an aggressive, intimidating scream. It's kinda hard to describe exactly how it sounded. My yard has a tall fence around it, so we don't get any big animals, but there's a forest at the edge of our neighborhood, so sometimes we see deers and coyotes walking around at all times of the day. Knowing that, I just assumed that the scream was the death scream of an unfortunate animal. Because it's not that rare for me and my family to hear screams when wolves and coyotes catch prey near my house. Once I went through my morning routine, I went back outside to my front yard to get in my car. The atmosphere was still really uncomfortable, and I felt even worse having no fence in my front yard. And it might have made it worse that it was a new moon that night, so I couldn't see shit other than what the street lights lit up. I made it to my car in one piece though. To give you an idea of how I get out of my neighborhood, I usually have my car parked facing into my neighborhood, so I usually turn onto the small street to my right, and back onto another one of the main roads where I turn out of my neighborhood. I hope that makes sense. The small street I usually turn onto first is the same one I thought I heard that scream come from. It isn't very well lit, so I didn't see much other than the road. But under the street light at the end of the road, I saw 3 coyotes blocking my path. When I got close enough, they all ran into a horizontal line, all facing me and baring their teeth. I knew I'd be safe in my car, but holy shit was it an unnerving sight. As much as I hate my job, I gotta be there on time cause I don't want to get sent home. So since the coyotes weren't moving, I decided to try to squeeze by them along the very edge of the road. That's when it happened. The 3 coyotes' eyes turned red, and they slowly slid sideways into each other, not moving their legs at all. They then merged together into a gigantic humanoid creature that had to be well over 10 feet tall, with a gigantic head, red eyes with a skeleton-like nose and giant, sharp teeth. Since I was in my car, I want to say its 2 fangs were even bigger than my tires, which aren't that big but still. The creature had elf-like ears, with arms the width of a tree trunk and hands that were the size of the front of my car when they were in fists. I never saw its hands not in a fist, but I can only imagine how big they were. The creature was covered in very dark gray fur as well. For a second, I just sat there frozen in fear, looking at this giant monster, which was staring at me with his fists on the ground, looking ready to pounce. I thought I was hallucinating because of how tired I was from working the shift I work, but it didn't matter. It pulled its body back and got in position to lunge at me, and I threw the car in reverse, backing down the street as fast as the small street would allow. Once I got back onto my street, which is a lot longer, I floored it, all while the creature chased after me running with its legs and fists. I ended up going about 60 mph down my street, a small neighborhood street that'd be stupid to drive much more than 25 on. All while this monster was right behind me the whole time. Once I got onto the main road, which was luckily empty, I probably hit about 80 or 90. Keep in mind that this is a 30 mph road, so I was fucked if the cops saw me. But I'd much rather go to jail or get in a terrible car crash than get stomped or eaten or whatever by that giant thing. Luckily 90 miles per hour was fast enough, cause the giant creature slowly got smaller in my mirror. When the creature was far enough back, I turned onto another main road, and that's when I heard a loud, deep scream of anger from the creature. To give you an idea of how loud it really was, I was blasting hip-hop at full volume during the ride like I always do. And my windows were down. And I still hear the scream over my music and my engine. I think it even shook my car a little bit. It could probably be heard for miles and maybe into other towns. I don't know exactly how many people heard it, but what I know for sure though is that it definitely woke up everyone near there if it was that loud. Luckily, I had no problems the rest of the ride and got to work alive. Scarred, but alive. I mentioned earlier how I thought maybe I was tripping. But I don't do any drugs besides smoke a ton of weed when I'm at school. There have been times in my life where I've been so tired I saw shit, but nothing so vivid and terrifying. I told myself I was tripping though in order to get through the shift. After my manager sent me home, I drove back home and went on that small street on the way back just for my sanity, and I found what I think was the source of the scream I heard when I was getting ready for work. I saw a dead deer, torn into two pieces that were getting devoured by hundreds if not thousands of flies each. Which probably meant that this poor creature was torn in half by the creature as it screamed in unimaginable pain. Then the creature shape-shifted back into the coyotes before I encountered it. Anyway, after I took in the sight of the dead deer, I turned back onto my street and parked my car in front of my house. Now I'm really nervous to go to work again, because when I looked in my side view mirror for a split second when I parked, and shit myself when I looked at my neighbor's front yard behind me. And I skipped work on Friday because of what I saw. There were 3 coyotes, all staring right at me through the mirror. And I just know that the creature is planning to finish what it started the other night. If any of you can identify the creature, I'd really appreciate it. And if I don't update y'all soon, it got me. So hopefully, I'm still alive in a little while. I Kissed the Devil by JT Signs 09. It's 3:33 a.m. I'm alone laying in my room in my mom's house. I'm 25 years old and yes, I know I should be out on my own, but unfortunately I'm what people call a crackhead or a tweaker, or just a meth addict. I haven't held a job in a year, and living off my mom doesn't make me feel like much of a man. But tonight is different, because as I'm laying here completely sober, I just realized that God has changed my life. So let me start again. Yesterday at this time I was coming home, drunk and high, laying in this bed watching the ceiling fan turn and it's not even on. I just heard my mom turn her TV off, which means she was waiting up for me. It's a small house, but it's just me and her. After sleeping almost 10 hours, it's almost 2 p.m., and already I'm getting sick and needing a fix. I change, wash up and come out of my room, and my mom is sitting on the couch. Before, she would always greet me with a good morning and ask if I was hungry, but now she knows what I'm about to ask, 'cause she's just ignoring me. I tell her I'm going to a friend's house and ask if she has any money, but right away she says no. I just need a couple dollars, and still she says no. I'm already starting to shake, so I walk into the kitchen, and just as I grab her purse, she comes running in and starts yelling, "There's nothing in there, we're broke," but I know she has something. So I turn and head towards her bedroom. She comes after me, telling me to leave. As soon as I pull open her dresser drawer, she tells me to stop. She tries to push the drawer closed, and then I did something I thought I'd never ever do. I only meant to push her away, but my arm ended up swinging up from her chest as I was pushing her and hit her across the face. She falls backwards and starts crying, but I keep looking through her dresser without feeling any regret. She gets up, walks to her nightstand, and tells me, "If I give you all I have, will you leave and never come back?" I looked at her 'cause I can tell she's been wanting to say that for a while, and so I said yes. So she shows me $100 bill and tells me to go grab a bag of clothes. So in 10 minutes I had most of my clothes in a duffel bag. She's still crying and hands me the money. I walk out of the house and simply say, "Bye Mom," grab my bike and leave. It's not even 4 p.m. yet, and I go straight to my friend's house, who's also my dealer. He's actually one of my closest friends. I've known him and his family since high school, but because of what he does, his family has shunned him out. He lives on the other side of town, just him and his girlfriend, who's pregnant with their first kid. We talk for a little bit about what happened with my mom, then we head to his garage. He waited until we got to the garage before he says I can stay there with them till I get on my feet, so I'm assuming his girlfriend probably won't approve. He takes out some stuff he says he's been saving for a special occasion, and we're smoking it in the garage while cars are passing and kids are riding their bikes in the street. After a couple hours of getting high, a couple more guys show up with an 18 PK, and by now I'm already wasted and I just realized I haven't even eaten. So after spending another $60 on pizza for everyone, I realize it's only around 9 p.m. and I'm trying hard to stay awake. My buddy helps me inside to lay down on the couch. I can hear him and his girlfriend arguing, but I can't open my eyes, and I can feel myself fading in and out. After a few hours I finally wake up, looking around, trying to figure out where I am. It's quiet, the TV is off, but I can hear someone in the bedroom with the TV on. His girlfriend looks out from the room and sees I'm awake. She tells me everyone left and went to the bar, and she set up the inflatable bed with some blankets in the guest room for me. I get up and tell her thank you, but I'm gonna go and ask her what time it is. She said it was a little after 1 a.m. and it's the middle of November, so it's really cold outside. To make it worse, my bike isn't where I left it, so I just decided to walk home. Seems like a waste to spend $40 on drugs, and I'm not even high anymore, 'cause of how cold it is. As I'm walking through town, I'm replaying everything in my head I did and said to my mom, not just the way I left today, but the last couple of years. We left California to get away from my abusive dad, and now I'm the one that pushed and hit her. She saved me from him, so he wouldn't hit us no more, and now I am the abuser. I'm only halfway home and I can feel myself shivering, and am not even sure if I'll be allowed in the house. As I'm walking I keep thinking about everything my mom's done for me. She wouldn't be working 2 jobs if I helped her instead of being a bum. I can't believe I'm doing this to myself and to her. It's almost 3 a.m. and I can start to see the house now, and the light in the kitchen is on. I'm standing outside shivering, trying to look in the kitchen window to see if I see my mom. Then all of a sudden it finally hit me, and for the first time in a long time, I dropped to my knees, and I started praying. I can't help but to start crying and asking God for forgiveness and for another chance. I'm asking for one night, and tomorrow I'll get help and be a better person than I know I am. I apologize for everything I've done to myself and especially my mom. I just keep asking him for one more chance, just one more chance. Then finally I get enough courage to walk up the steps, and I slowly turn the doorknob and it's unlocked. I walk in and I see a blanket on the couch and a bunch of crumpled up tissue where I can tell my mom was sitting. I walk over to the entry of the kitchen and there she is, sitting at the end of the table looking straight ahead at the empty chair. She's pissed and won't look at me, her eyes are solid red, and she's got both hands on the table in a clenched fist. I sit next to her and pull my chair closer to her. If she's gonna hit me, I deserve it. I put my hand on her fist, and just started crying again, apologizing for everything. Asking her for forgiveness, telling her how sorry I am for everything Eve done to her. She still has the same look and hasn't moved and won't look at me. I tell her I'm gonna get help tomorrow if she'll just let me stay tonight, but she doesn't answer. After about 10 minutes of crying and pleading, I get up and I tell her I'm going to my room and promise again that I'll get help. I ask her to say something, and still nothing, just the same mean glare. I squeeze her hand and give her a soft gentle kiss on the forehead and tell her I'm gonna make you proud, Mom, I promise. As I walk out of the kitchen, I turn my head just a little bit to see if she gets up or looks at me, but still nothing. Same glare. As I'm walking down the hall I see she left the TV on in her room, so as I walk by I thought I saw someone laying in her bed. I walk back and open the door just a little to look, and sure enough there's someone curled up in her blankets asleep. I can't see who it is, so I walk in quietly to the other side of the bed to look at the face. It's my mom. She's asleep, there's still a tear on the edge of her eye that hasn't rolled off, and crumbled up tissue by the pillow. I can't freaking move, I'm just frozen looking at her sleeping. I turn and look at the door for a minute before I start to walk towards it. As I look out into the hallway, I slowly step out, and right as I look towards the kitchen entry, the kitchen light turns off. I'm just standing there in the hallway, my heart's pounding and I'm breathing like I just ran a marathon, waiting for someone, or hell something to walk out of the kitchen, but no one does. I stand just like that for a couple minutes and slowly walk backwards to my room. I start to shut the door to my room but decide to leave it open. I don't even get undressed and lay down under the blankets staring at the door. So again it's 3:33 a.m. I'm in my mom's house, not shaking from the cold anymore, just trying to assess what just happened. And I start to realize that it was my sign from God. I think back why my bike was gone, cause if I hadn't walked home in the cold, I never would have realized everything I've done to myself and my mom. God made me realize who I was before I walked in the door. I believe whoever that was in the kitchen was there to take me. My mom told me when I was a kid that the devil can see into people's souls and can tell who's cared for and loved and which souls are empty and unloved by anyone. He comes to tempt those people and entice them so he can take over their soul and control them. I had asked for forgiveness just before I entered the house, so he couldn't take me. Then I could feel my heart pounding again. I start panicking cause I remembered what I had done. The kiss. I kissed him on the forehead. I kissed the devil. So Tired. By Death by Gemini _036. I sleep a lot, more than the average person for sure. I'm pretty sure you're wondering if it's a medical condition. Trust me, I've been tested for it all. I'm not a narcoleptic, nor am I a hypersomniac. It never really hurt anyone, although it affected my grades throughout the school year because I would constantly fall asleep in class. It didn't matter how much I slept the night before, I was always tired. There wasn't a time or place where I was incapable of sleeping. It felt like my life was passing without me living it. Recently my family has been acting strange around me. I mean, they could have always been this way. I never really paid much attention. But recently the energy has been different. Tense, awkward, and just overall off. I noticed the morning of my older sister's birthday. They're twins. When I came down the stairs, I caught a glimpse of my family. They seemed to be having a conversation, but it wasn't a normal family convo. No happy faces. No birthday wishes. Just tense whispers and solemn expressions. After petting our dog Daisy, who greeted me at the end of the stairs every morning, I entered the kitchen where they were all seated. They had nothing but smiles on their faces. I was weirded out. I swore I had just seen them having a serious discussion. I brushed it off, thinking I was just putting ideas in my head, seeing as I had just woken up and was feeling pretty groggy. A few days after that weird encounter with my family, I began to notice things missing. At first it was only minor objects, my hairbrush and my sister's bracelet. But soon the items missing started becoming more and more strange. I have pills to help keep me awake. Seeing as I have no diagnosis, it was the most my doctor could do for me. One morning, technically afternoon, seeing as I woke up at 3 p.m., I gave Daisy some pets and went into the kitchen where my pills were located. I reached towards the space where the bottle normally is, only to feel an empty space. I immediately panicked and frantically looked in each and every crevice and corner of the kitchen to no avail. The next time I woke up, it was after sleeping 23 hours. There was something seriously wrong. I walked down the stairs preparing to cuddle with Daisy to relieve some stress, but she was nowhere to be found. I was so confused. That's when something hit me in the back of the head, and then it all went black. I woke up in my bed, the back of my head was throbbing, and I was having trouble fully opening my eyes. It took me a couple seconds, but I realized that I was chained to my bed. I looked up and basically had my soul jump out of my body. Standing around me were my twin sisters. They had the most emotionless expressions on their faces that I had ever seen on anyone. Alyssa? Avery? What the hell, guys? If this is one of your stupid pranks, it's not funny. You're freaking me out. They said nothing, they just stared blankly. The silence was unsettling, especially because Alyssa and Avery never shut up. They were by far the loudest people I knew. Seriously, guys, it's not fa. I went quiet the second I saw my parents enter the room, wearing the same exact emotionless expressions as my sisters. Guys, what is this? Why are you doing this? Mom? Dad? Quiet now, Leah. This is for your own good, my mother said in a monotone voice. We weren't sure it was you at first, but we have all the evidence we need now. My dad said in that same unsettling tone. I don't understand, I said with tears welling in my eyes. Shoo, it'll all be over soon. Avery spoke. That's when I passed out. When I awoke again, I was free, and then I noticed the scene around me. It looked like something out of a horrific nightmare. Blood spatters painted the ceiling and walls crimson. The bodies of my family lay around me, mutilated, in ways too gruesome to even try to describe. That's when I saw the blood on my hands, on my clothes, coating almost every inch of me. Yet, I was unharmed. Then it dawned on me. I think I know what happened to Daisy. You know what? I think I'm gonna take a nap. I'm so tired. Can anyone explain what I experienced? By NE14ABJ-. So basically, this story is from an experience I had during the first lockdown due to COVID. I was made furloughed from work and I'd make the most of it by partying most weekends round a friend's house, due to the pubs being closed. Now we partied to God knows what time in the morning and somehow I'd always end up having to walk home. I live in a big-ish railway town in the north of England and me and my friend, the ones whose house who I've been drinking at, live a canny distance from each other. There's 3 different ways I can walk back to mine from his house, which all take different times. Route 1, least sketchy, main road 50-minute walk. Route 2, a bit sketchy, abandoned railway tracks 30-minute walk. Route 3, might break an ankle due to deformed path, walking through the fields. 25-minute walk. So back to the story, I had been drinking round his house this night and it was getting late, or should I say early. I decided I had enough and said my goodbyes to him. I was pretty tired so I wanted to be home quickly. The time was roughly 4:10 a.m. I decided to go for the middle option and walk the railway tracks home cause it was the middle of May, and had been raining so I didn't want to get soaked by walking through fields. Now there's no source of light on the railway tracks apart from my phone torch. The video you see now is of me walking along them from a different time, so you have an idea. It's pretty dark and also being drunk makes it 10 times more harder to see. So basically I was walking on autopilot and using muscle memory to get my way home. I had my headphones in to keep me entertained, but they weren't at full volume. I do this just for my safety. Now I was about 10 minutes into my journey along the railway tracks where something off to the right off me in my peripheral vision caught my attention. I thought I seen some bushes move. I glanced over quickly but shook it off as my mind playing games on me due to the darkness and drunkenness. I continued on with the journey, then the same happened again this time. I took my headphones out and heard rustling in the bushes. Now it didn't sound like a small animal, this was big stomps and I could see the silhouettes of the top of the trees moving. I started to panic a bit, and picked up the pace as I was nearly to the bridge which lead me to the main road to mine where there were street lights. As I was hurrying, the bushes were rustling along towards the side of me like something was following me. My foot hit a big stick which I quickly picked up. I then started shouting and hitting the stick off the railway tracks to try and scare whatever it was away. I know if anyone had seen me they'd probably be thinking, what's this drunken idiot doing? But I was genuinely scared for my life. Anyway, as I was hitting the stick and shouting, I heard what I can only explain as a leprechaun laugh or a giggle. It sounds so stupid, but that's what I heard. The bushes then moved some more and suddenly stopped. I started to back away slowly. And then I ran. I couldn't see a thing as my phone was now in my pocket. I kept running until I was back to the main road. Nothing was following me now, all the sounds and movement had ceased. I eventually got home and went straight to sleep. I was exhausted. I woke up confused thinking that I dreamt the whole situation. Until I went outside for a cigarette and seen the stick I had left on the floor. Then it all came back to me. Now I'm not one for believing in mythical beasts and strange mysteries. It was probably a deer or something else and my drunken mind was just overreacting, but part of me truly believes that it wasn't and it was in fact something supernatural. Anyway, I thought I'd post it on here to see what you guys think it could have been. And I haven't walked on the train tracks at night ever since. I rather get home safe walking the main roadway. That was all for today. Glad you guys listened till the end. Don't forget to like the video and share with your friends. Also send in your own scary stories at horroxperiencemedia@gmail.com so your work can get featured in my videos. You can find a link in the description. Subscribe for more similar stories and see you guys in the next video.